to Guest of the Month episode 3. I'm joined by Transport Manager of OMC Global Limited, John Corti. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll get right stuck into it. So for those who don't know who OMC Global are, can you tell me a bit more about what you specialise in and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, of course. OMC Global has been in the making since 2005. The managing director, Mr. Jazz Singh, and his family embarked on a bit of a journey. They started with taxis and they were doing multiple airport runs to build a business. And Jazz's dream was to own a bespoke fleet of vehicles, not just taxis, but buses and coaches as well, and offer people luxury transport, something with a difference, something where people will enjoy the journey rather than just see it as a chore.
So where did the fleet start and where has it got to now?
Well, one of the first vehicles that Jazz bought for OMC, you'll probably see a picture of it in a minute, it's a very white, rusty looking vehicle. And obviously that was not his aspirations, and that's not where we've ended up. So Jazz has slowly built the fleet to a point where in 2018 we were about 8 vehicles, mostly EVM vehicles. And then last year we won a couple of contracts and we decided to double the fleet. So now we're up to 15 PSV vehicles.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and we've just gone into the larger market as well. We've just purchased 2 53-seater coaches as well. Now, currently, right at this point, we're now shifting back to private hire work because the phones are ringing again. Thank goodness.
Thank God
the phones are ringing again. Yeah.
Now, I know last year was a really tricky year with COVID. How did OMC, the team, manage that? I know that we produced or supplied 9 EVM vehicles to you. How's that going?
Yes, well, when COVID hit, the first lockdown hit, obviously, as with most bus and coach businesses, I would think, we mothballed our fleet totally. We put everything off the road. We still had to employ someone to go in and make the wheels turn a little bit every now and again, start the engines up, etc. But everything was mothballed down. So we wondered what we could do in the meantime, and we developed the depot slightly. We built a training room during lockdown. So we just overall improved the depot structure, really. With the contracts coming in, we won 2 significant contracts, which meant we had to purchase at a very difficult time. Jazz, bless him, he had to go through some really tough negotiations with some finance companies regarding funding during a pandemic. Nobody wanted to fund the purchase of buses in a pandemic. They couldn't see any future. But Jazz managed it, and we purchased, as you know, 9 vehicles from EVM. The reason for the purchase from EVM, which is very important, is the fact of mostly residual value. We look at changing our vehicles probably every 3 to 5 years. So we're always looking at the value at the end of that period. And EVM is generally what gives us that residual value far more than any other company.
Would you say that's your main feature for the EVM product that you prefer, or is there anything else that kind of catches your eye?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the luxury end of the market, so the finish, the interior finish is something we're after with the stitched leather and all the extra bits and pieces that come with the raised steps and everything, and being able to tailor the bus to what we need effectively. And recently with the after sales service we received as well.
Yes,
it's been brilliant. Yeah, Ian's been great.
He's fab. Yeah. Have you got any exciting projects in the pipeline for OMC Global that you could discuss at all?
Well, we've recently won a contract for a cruise line company in America that we're basically looking at starting some work for in December. That's quite exciting. It's a little bit in the pipeline. It's a 4-year deal, so we're hoping to transport people through Oxfordshire that have come off a cruise ship, effectively. We've also got the summer to look forward to. We're trying to hold back on our contract work a little bit now, thinking about the summer. As I said, the phones are really ringing. Weddings seems to be a really big theme this year, which you would think after people being locked up for a year in their homes, they'd probably want a divorce rather than get married. But weddings seems a great thing to be doing this year. So there's lots of weddings coming through. And we're using a new software to help us with our bookings and our inquiries and to run the whole business, really. I don't know if any other company might be interested in it, but it's called Savari with a V, S-A-V-A-R-I, and the website's savari.io, and it's basically a one-stop solution for everything that to do with the transport business. So previously we used to have different softwares for walk-around checks, different softwares for bookings, different softwares for maintenance. Savari is something which you can just put everything together in one system, including invoicing and everything, a desktop solution really. So it's really worth looking at. It's certainly streamlined our business when we looked at costs and how we could cut costs.
Can you tell us a bit more about your journey, so where you got to and how you got to OMC?
Yeah, of course. I started as an apprentice mechanic for Oxford Bus Company when I left school at the tender age of 16, many years ago, and soon found after finishing my apprenticeship that mechanics wasn't really for me. Didn't like getting my hands dirty, etc. So tried my hand at driving, and that's where I fell into driving buses, really, service buses, double decks. And from there, really, I fell into driving instruction, really got into the driving side of things, and then driving instructor training. So I taught a lot of driving instructors how to be driving instructors. In about 2011, I suppose, when the market was flooded with driving instructors, probably my fault because I trained so many of them. We ended up going back into buses really, and I found my feet again at City Sightseeing in Oxford, where I became transport manager in 2013. Travelled the world there as well, went to South Africa, places, so had a really good time. Even chopped the top off some double deck buses. We converted them ourselves into open top buses, so we had some really good times. Oxford City Sightseeing was bought out by Go Ahead PLC. I was eventually made redundant, and that's how I managed to end up at OMC Global.
Looking back in your past, is there anyone that you've looked up to as a role model?
Yeah, there's been many people, to be honest. I suppose when I trained to become a driving instructor, I met somebody called Kevin. I won't go into too much detail, but he was already an instructor trainer, and he's probably one of the best drivers and motorbike riders I've ever met. Motorbikes being another passion of mine, and he was certainly somebody who taught me an awful lot about roadcraft and how to properly drive a vehicle, really. So he was somebody I definitely aspired to.
Oh, sounds like it's had a big impact on you.
Yeah, definitely. Sadly, he's no longer with us now, but he was definitely a mentor of mine, yeah.
We briefly touched on after sales at EVM here. Is there anything that you would give to another EVM customer, so advice that you could give?
Well, only that the team at EVM, Ian especially, as soon as you send an email, the answer comes back straight away. Ian's come down to us personally. I know that wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to do that all over the country because it'd be quite some distance to travel, but the after sales care has been brilliant, and Ian sorted our problems out straight away without, not that there were many problems, but the ones that there were have been sorted straight away. So really good, very good after sales.
What's the success to OMC's story?
Well, that's a good question. I would say firstly the team ethic, as I said before. We've got a really strong team, management team, and underneath us really, and people that are willing to work 24/7 is really a massive benefit. If people dedicate their lives to something, then you're going to get a success story generally. I think Jazz would probably disagree with me. Jazz is a very religious man, and he would say that our success is down to God and praying, and sometimes I believe him, to be honest, because some of the things that Jazz has managed to pull off certainly has been quite miraculous. So I would say teamwork and maybe a little bit of God.
A bit of both.
Yeah.
What's next for OMC in the next year or two? Is there anything?
Well, as I said, the private hire market is something we really want to get involved with again. We've already got some very strong contracts. We've got a contract with the Formula One team now, which is expanding to the larger coaches. One of our school contracts in Oxford, one of our college contracts, I should say, we've been told there's probably going to be another 150 students coming in September, so they're almost doubling in size. So I expect that contract to be maintained and grow. So there's going to be we're going to need more vehicles effectively, and we're going to outgrow our depot that we lovingly made a little bit better in the lockdown. So So the future's looking really bright, but busy.
Yeah.
We've got a lot coming, I think.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much for your time. And leave it there.